a Ghanatube so ebusian form dofo slow mesan so emamo akwa ababiom matna CD na ewie insem ahodo enkoso ewo oman Ghana na entempara no mentwentwen so emfama mo no yebeka kotie insem ahodo bi a ekoso ewo oman Ghana.
Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Ghana has successfully completed the 4th review of its IMF program following a 2-week assessment by a visiting IMF team that concluded last night. The country is set to receive $370 million upon completion of the executive board review. The government and the IMF have been addressing a joint press briefing. Here are excerpts of the conference.
This agreement, as usual, is subject to the approval of our executive board. And once the executive board completes the review, Ghana will have access to about $370 million, bringing the total IMF financial support disbursed under the arrangement since May 2023 to some $2.4 billion. Now, before we hear from the Honorable Minister and Governor Asiama, and prior to addressing your questions, I'd like to briefly outline some of the key points of our assessment and also our discussions with the authorities during this mission. So first, the external position has continued to improve with rapid accumulation of international reserves by the Bank of Ghana, and indeed the accumulation of reserves has clearly outperformed the program objectives. Economic growth in 2024 was also stronger than expected. However, overall performance with respect to the program's targets and objectives deteriorated significantly in 2024, reflecting policy slippages in the run-up to the general elections. Both the government's primary balance and inflation missed the targets. Several structural reforms have also been delayed, and some of the milestones in this area were missed. Fortunately, since then, the authorities have adopted bold corrective measures in several areas to ensure observance of the program objectives for 2025 and beyond. In particular, the authorities have adopted a raft of corrective policy and structural measures to address the budgetary implications and root causes of the 2024 fiscal slippages.
What rather started like the most difficult review of the program has ended successfully, with the IMF and the government of Ghana reaching a staff-level agreement on the 4th review today. This marks a significant journey in our collective effort towards resetting the economy for the Ghana we all want. We remain fully committed to the implementation of the program and will do all it takes to ensure that the objectives of the program are on track despite the challenges we inherited. Although there were a number of structural benchmarks and quantitative targets under the program that were breached at the time we took office, we have worked tirelessly to reverse the situation and in some cases fast-track the implementation of some key structural reforms ahead of their deadline and embarked on additional reforms. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, pragmatic and bold measures have been put in place to address the large payable buildup as at end 2024, which resulted in large primary deficits compared to the program's modest surplus. These measures aimed at strengthening our spending commitment control system, eliminate the accumulation of payables, enhance budget credibility, and promote fiscal and debt sustainability. These measures include the following. 1. We have commissioned the Auditor General together with 2 international audit firms to audit the payable and commitment to validate their legitimacy and value and provide recommendations for collective actions.
All right, I'm joined on Zoom by Economist Professor Patrick Esuming. Good afternoon to you. So there were initial concerns Ghana may not pass the review because we have not met some key targets. Now the IMF passing us after its assessment. What does this say about the progress you are making towards economic recovery?
Good afternoon, Daryl, and good afternoon to viewers. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think you are right that we definitely missed some of the program targets, as we've heard from both the finance minister and the IMF team. But I think the reaction since then, in terms of the kind of corrective measures that the current government has put in place, the 2025 budget that has been passed, trying to undo a lot of the slippages and bring the program back on track, and then also quick action to try and implement some of the structural reforms that had been planned. So you get the sense that the IMF looked at all of this and realized that yes, there had been problems towards the end of last year, but they would have been very impressed with how swiftly the government has tried to resolve those problems. I think that's why it didn't turn out to be a long, drawn-out agreement process.
Well, so they also, we are going to be receiving $370 million after the board's approval, apparently. I mean, people are always questioning how significant that amount is, but what areas of the economy should the money be pumped to?
Well, I think when we read the budget, we see that we have a shortfall. So, first of all, once you receive those dollars, one of the things that help boost the results at the BOG received dollars, and then the government was spending cedis. So I think it's not the kind of funding that you say you go to specific areas. I think it's just going to support the budget. If there's one area that the government should pay attention to, I think I've repeatedly mentioned that, is agric and food production. And we need immediate action, because if we are not able to make progress in this planting season as the rains come in, then the food crisis or the rising food costs will go up. But I think the government has already set its budget, and mostly these funds were just used to plug the hole in terms of the financing gap.
So what happens after this? I mean, what is the next phase of Ghana's program after this review? Will there be more stringent measures or adjustments? So, well, I think you know that it has at every stage there are some targets to be met. I think since the start of the program, some of the target days and additional targets have actually been added. So we hope and see. So depending on the progress and issues that come up there, the government together with the IMF, sometimes they revise the timetable and the schedule. But I think there's going to be another review, probably covering up to the first quarter or so. That will probably be done in July or so, and then we see where we go from there. But don't forget that there are still aspects that have to be done, especially even the debt exchange, the debt restructuring. Don't forget that it's been approved. The bilateral agreement is done, but we still have to do the country by country agreement. That part is not completely done, and we still have a small chunk of our external debt to complete the restructuring. The commercial part is not completely done. So all of those have to be done so that we finally bring an end to the debt restructuring. And then there are still a few structural issues that are yet to be addressed. The amendment to the BOG Act is still not complete. So there are still a few things to be done. Yeah. Government, I mean, initially floated the idea of renegotiating the deal, hopefully, possibly extend the program. Do you see that happening?
I think it's going to be necessary. Now, if you look at what so far what this government is doing is more or less this 2025 budget is a correction. Now, the big issue about how far we will expand the revenue envelope, I don't think it's been done. If you look at the amount, the financing requirements, and how the debt restructuring push some of the payment back, I don't think that we've gotten to a position where a year from now, we'll be without substantial changes, we'll be able to settle those debts. So let's see how the VAT reforms, what it will do, and by the end of the year, how much we'll be able to expand the revenue envelope substantial basis. If you're able to do that, then maybe. But as of today, I still feel that some kind of extension will still be necessary.
Abusiafo medam ase se mudi machi e mayekotie eye nsem no na meni se motie ama mo de comment e be me e comment mo nya sa enfama me na menkenkai e ma mo fefefe aha eye Ghanatube so bi on subscribe ya abusiafo to bo ase na subscribe na face me a eye notification bell no so se na bia nsem no mudi tuma na wenya ne intem me ma we mfin so se obe like na afin so wa share in videos we e channel we so abusiafo ha Ghanatube so wonderful snowy sisi ade makamo